My microphone then. It went a bit weird. Hi guys, this is a bit of a weird one. Let me just get over to this screen. So hi, I'm gonna just be quickly explaining Blender. I'm gonna have to take my headphones off or I won't be able to concentrate or explain this properly. So enjoy the background music, but I'm not listening to it. So, I'm just gonna get right into it, I guess. So let's just discuss Grease Pencil. So this is my current scene that I am working on. And you know, there's a lot going on here. There's camera movements. I know I've got to turn this wall off actually. Let me do that real quick for you guys so you can understand what I'm talking about. So yeah, as you can see, there's a lot going on here. Let's turn off the reference as well. We're just going to zoom in so you guys can see. So this square, if I'm hoping most of you know Grease Pencil, a little bit of Blender, but if not, don't worry. I will go over basics in this video. So here we go. This is just my scene right now. We've got a lot going on. There's camera movement, there's object movement, there's animation, as in the two images changing. So I'm just going to save this quickly, and I am going to open. We're just going to go with a new scene. So I'm going to File, General. So here we go. You always get the default cube, right? We're going to go into Camera View. If you click here, you go into Camera View. Pretty simple. Now, let's see, if you go into View and you want Camera to View, when you click on here, or when you move around or move the camera on anything, it will move the camera to the view. Now, if you ever want to undo that, you simply uncheck it, or if you want to like keep it that way, but you want to check how the rest of the scene looks, just click on anywhere on your little world buttons up here and it will take you out of it. But that's real simple. Hi, thanks for the follow. Sorry, this is a really weird stream for you to be like joining me on, because I'm just trying to really simply go through this for just some people in my class to send it to them. So yeah, so this is, and this will be the view, this will be what will be rendered out. Nothing outside of this square will you'll see, unless you're like purposely trying to make a full scene or anything like that. So I'm just gonna delete this cube. So that's X to delete anything, okay? And we are gonna go and add 2D animation up here, okay? So here we go, we've got 2D animation. Now, firstly, what you wanna do is make sure, I'm gonna go back to layout actually. So you see this button here, this is your cursor, this is your world cursor. Or like, yeah, it's like, it sets the origin location. So anything you add will appear where this cursor is, you see? So, sorry. So anything you add will appear there. So to go back to 2D animation, we're going to go Shift A. And if you're unsure, always go with stroke first, just because if we come out of camera view, you will see how that stroke looks in 3D. Okay? But to be fair, you don't really need it, because the little dot there will also show you where you are in a 3D environment. Okay? So we're going to delete that, and we're going to go add blank. So there we go, we've got our little dot, and if we come out, there you go. That is the plane, that is your Grease Pencil, that's where you're going to start. Now, if you aren't in your camera mode, and you go to drawing, and we're just going to create a quick, you need to make sure that you've made a material, otherwise you won't draw. So we're just going to make a quick material, and you drawing? Yeah, we might also need a layer, unfortunately. So,
Are you doing a thing?
yeah, I'm doing a thing, sorry.
Okay.
So, there you go. So, if you draw now, that will appear. And if you move around, you can see, but if I draw up here, even though the cursor's set to the same thing, it will appear across it. Does that, I hope that makes some kind of sense. So, depending on where you are in the world, it will be a flat drawing, right? And that's because we have our drawing up here set to origin, right? So it's using our origin point, where that little dot is, it's using that as where we are drawing. So if you're in camera mode, and say we just draw a little smiley face, I'm doing this with a mouse, so please. Draw a little smiley face, that's gonna look normal, right? That's gonna look good in render, but if we were to move out, I mean, look, that looks like nothing, right? But you don't have to worry about that too much, because if you're using this program for 2D stuff, just worry about what it looks like in render, okay? Don't, oh god, I keep clicking that. It's because I keep switching between uni computers and this computer. It's super easy, right? Okay, so now we're going to do something a bit difficult. So you have different things. You have origin, where it uses your origin. You have 3D cursor, where it will use where your 3D cursor is. Sorry, I keep clicking things. It will use where you've placed your 3D cursor, and it will use that as the origin for all your drawings. I don't recommend doing that, mainly because it's going to make your life a hell of a lot harder if you ever move that cursor. Like, say you've got a drawing and suddenly you want to add background to it, or like you want to add color or change that drawing, it's going to be very hard to ever get that location the same. So I'd recommend always sticking to origin. Or if you have fucked up in any way and you've clicked 3D cursor, you can try stroke. So what stroke does is, if I draw something, now if I move over here and I draw on top of it, it's going to try and connect all of your drawings to that initial stroke, right? It's going to try and keep them together. That's what that means. But again, easiest thing of all is origin. Now, there is a really fun thing that you can do with Grease Pencil, where if I go back into object mode, and I should click Shift A, and I'm going to add our trusty cube. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm going to add our trusty cube, and I'm going to go back to our Grease Pencil layer. So make sure you select it in object mode, and you go to draw mode. Now you can do this thing called surface. So you can draw on the surface of what's in front of you, which is super fun. So there you go, a little drawing, and there it is. And obviously this is not perfect because I haven't done anything. Usually what you can do is, if you're doing surface, you can offset it by like nothing, and then it will like, that's too much, but I usually put it at like 2, I think, or maybe a bit more. But you see what I mean. You can play around with that, and you can draw on the surface of objects and all this kind of stuff. It's really funky, and it's a fun thing to do. But we are not doing that. We are doing something completely else. Oh my god, I feel like I'm powering through this because I've never done something like this before, so I'm a bit paranoid. So we're going to delete this cube. We're going to delete, oh no, I deleted the, fuck it. We're going to delete the cube. Then we're going to Shift A, add Grease Pencil blank, okay? And there we go, there's our little Grease Pencil dot, that is our origin, okay? Now, go over to draw mode, we want this set to origin. Now I'm just going to put something real quick in here. Oh yeah, might be helpful if I do material and new layer. So we're going to do something like this, we're going to do a circle, right? So, super easy, here you go, you've got your circle. And then, oh yeah, I've got to click enter. Sorry, I keep messing up, but yeah, when you click any of these, you can draw stuff, and you must click enter for it to be there. Otherwise, if you want, you can boop boop change it until you've clicked enter. When you've clicked enter, it's set in stone. So you've got this guy, you've got this funny little circle. So we're going to go over to 10, and we're going to go insert keyframe. So you're going to right click, insert keyframe, okay? And we are going to do another circle, but we're going to make him long this time. Enter. So this is super stupid, but there you go. We're just going to, if we just have it for like, there you go, you've got a little animation of the thing. I'm just going to duplicate you and put you on 20, just so this makes some kind of sense. We're going to set, so this down here is how long your timeline is. So it usually starts at 0 and goes to 250. That's like the basic one. We're just going to set it to 20, so it loops this thing, right? it's not very good. It's very simple, as you can see. But this is what we need right now just to explain things. Okay, so now this is where you can do some real fun stuff. Like, so say you've animated a walk cycle, so just on the spot walk cycle in Grease Pencil, and you're like, fuck, okay, but I need it to go from this part of the screen to this part of the screen. So if you go into object mode and we go to animation, go back into the view, and we just grab and put over here, right? We hit, oh. Just gonna grab, put over here, and we're gonna hit I for location rotation. Or like, well, to be fair, location's all you need, but I always click location rotation in case I change the rotation later on, and then suddenly I'm like, ooh, let's change the rotation for the entire thing. So location rotation or location rotation scale, if you think those are things that you're going to play with, click all of them. That way it saves all of those as a keyframe, right? It saves everything as a keyframe. So we're going to start there, and we want him to end up over here, right? So we're going to grab again, going to move you over here, going to hit location rotation. So now it will go from one end to the other while still doing its animation. Isn't that cool? I think that's fucking sweet, honestly. It's such a time saver. So say you've made like a 3D background, or you're just working on this for 2D purposes because it's great. Yeah, you can just do that. What was the next thing I was gonna say? Yeah, I'll just do some quick stuff to do with materials. So, materials, super easy. I'm just gonna scoot this over so you can actually see what I'm talking about on my display capture. There we go. So, materials. You have your materials up here. If you want to add a material, you click the plus button, right? If you want a new material, you click new, and it will just, this is always the default. Base color, blah, blah, blah. So stroke just means that it's going to be, it's going to be drawn, like, and you can change it to line, dots, or squares. So dots, I should probably change that actually. Let's zoom in quite a little bit, because I should probably change, oh my god, I keep clicking that because of uni computers. Let's move to this for a sec. No, actually that's fucking terrible. Let's not move to that. So just take a pen, blah blah blah. Look, you've drawn in dots. Great, cool. And then if you remember, if you change anything on the material, it will change your drawing, right? So if I change this to line, it's going to change what I just drew to line. It will no longer be dots. But if I want to keep this as dots, then I can go back to this one and draw a line, right? Make sure to name these things. So you could name this one dots, this one line. And then I haven't really ever used square, so let's see what that does. Oh, it just changes them to little squares. Cool, that's fun. I hadn't known that. What else? We've got like fill. So this is quite fun. It's great for quickly filling in colors. So it basically just uses your drawing as a fill. So if I show you, I'm going to draw a circle. Here you go. And it will fill that entire thing in. Now the really fun thing you can do about this is, as you can see, the line is different because we've still got the stroke set to squares. But if I change it to line, it turns into a line. So the fun thing you can do about this is you can have completely different colors of lines, right? As opposed to, so if you wanted to have a different fill, if you want to draw in black outline and you want like a white fill, you can do that. It's super easy. And that's really fun. And then you have all these fucking things which don't mean anything. But yeah, and then when you come out, because we've drawn this all on the same origin point, it's all on the same level. And I'm gonna take you to a quick look at layers. Here we go, so this is our layer, it's just Grease Pencil layer, so we're gonna name this 1. And as you see, come on, as you see down here, this is our little like Grease Pencil dope sheet. It's got all of our little keyframes in there. Let's scoot this back along here, just so you can see. So yeah, it's got all our little like keyframes in there. And if we add a new layer, there you go, and it appears here, and we've got a new layer that we can draw on, and that can have, it remains as same as the part, sorry, it remains part of the same object as one. So if you go back into object and move this, they will move together. So for instance, if I go back into draw mode and I draw like, I'll draw a little smiley face. Yeah. Even though this thing could be doing something wildly different, it will always move with your object. So it's part of that animation that we first put in, right? So if you wanted to have two separate things which move in two separate directions, you'll want to create another Grease Pencil layer to do that. So I'll show that real quickly. Go into object mode, and I'm gonna shift A. I want another Grease Pencil layer. I want blank, right? And this is Grease Pencil 01. We should move this over, so you can see that Grease Pencil 01. You can rename these to whatever. But also the fun thing about this is, even though it's set at the same origin point, we can move this little dot wherever, and that is where in our little like scene the drawing will appear. So if I go into draw mode now, I'm gonna hit new material, and we're gonna make this one like white or something, right? And so if I draw, oh yeah, every time. So, and then if I draw, it's always gonna be behind, right? Because we're still drawing at the origin of that Grease Pencil alone. So when you move around, right, this one's behind, as you can see. You can also move it in front. So say you've put it there, but you want to move that little guy. You literally go into object mode, and you can just, yeah, say you want it to be in front actually. There you go, he's in front now. He's in front of everything. So that's really fun. So you can do all of your animations, like, and the fun thing about this is because of Blender, you can do all your animations separately, like on different files, make sure they work, and then what you can do is you can go File, Append, which will, and then you click the file that you want to bring into a scene, and there you go, you can bring the whole Grease Pencil, whole animation in. It's brilliant, it's really good. Yeah, so let's see, what else is there in, actually just undo that quickly. What else can I show you? Use lights. So this box basically means you're using the scene lights to dictate the color, and the scene light will affect that. I never turn that on because I like to, you know, see my colors as I pick them. Yeah, that's very, very basics of Grease Pencil. So I'm gonna just put this into practice now by reopening my last scene. I do not want to save this, so that was shot 8. So reopening this one. As you can see, we've got like onion skin on, so I can see the last frame. But yeah, so we've got camera movements, blah blah blah, because the scene starts like here with the which I don't need because that's in shot 7. But yeah, the door closes, okay, and then because I'm lazy and don't want to animate a movement, she turns there, right? Ooh, that's interesting actually. Why is that one become slightly off? Okay, it doesn't super matter. But yeah, there you go. And that's her. That's just like her keys. And you can see that if I go into object animation here, and I go back into the camera view and click on the Grease Pencil, you can see here the keyframes for that's where she is, and that's where she's moving to, right? Those are the keyframes for that. Other than that, there's no other animation in here, and that's it. Now, what I need to do in this scene is I need to add, if I bring this back in, I need to draw this character, and she's gonna sort of like, as she's walking across, this character's gonna fly in suddenly. So I'm gonna move this back down to here, and my face capture is going to go terrible in a second because that's how this fucking works. Because I'll be facing a tablet. Right, so there you go. There is my tablet screen. Let's just try and zoom this out for you so you can see as best as possible. I'm trying to keep as much of it in as possible for you guys, but it's hard because I didn't test the size of the screen before I made it. Okay, so pretty easy. Firstly, I've got to go into object mode and I've got to Shift A, and we want a new grease pencil layer. So I don't want it in this stack, so let's move down and we'll move it here. I'm just closing all of these because I have too much stuff in this scene. Right, so I'm going to call this one Nurse, and I'm going to call this one Character, because she's our main character. Yeah, you can see my my web camera is fucking awful. It does not pick me up at all. But here we go. Right, so now we've got this grease pencil, but we don't have a layer, so we're going to hit new layer. I'm going to turn the nurse, oh wait, no, and we're going to just add, and we're going to hit black, because that's what I'm aligning with. Now, if I come out of the camera view, that is where it's created our grease pencil object. Now, I don't want it there. I want it behind this, our current object. That is really interesting how it's decided to off-put that. But that's a problem for later me. This is not a problem for explanation me. Okay, so we have that character behind the nurse. Now I'm going to turn the nurse layer off just for a bit, just so I can draw the entirety of the character, because I need all of her drawn. I'm going to scoot my chair closer so I can actually draw it. This part, I will try and speed this part up in the when I upload this, just so it makes more sense to people, and like you don't have to see me drawing. But this is a stream and you're here to see me draw. So we're going to go back into draw mode. because I need to move this hand, but I luckily drew it on the wrong layer, so I can go into edit mode. I can go over here, I can lock the other layer, so when I select this, I can move. So if you ever need to move anything, this is the only thing I don't like about Grease Pencil, is when you're on one layer, right, and say you haven't locked it, and I'm like, oh, I want to erase this part of the hand. Wait, did I unlock it? No, so it's still locked. So, yeah, say I'm on the hand layer now, this top layer. Now the rest of the character is drawn on this layer. Say I'm like, oh, I want to erase this part. Fuck, I did it again. Did I? Yeah, I got to unlock it. And I haven't locked that layer, and I'm like, oh, I want to get rid of this bit. It will erase both layers. That's one thing I don't like about Grease Pencil. So make sure you lock the layer you don't want being erased or moved or anything, because it will select everything. Also, with your rubber, you can set it to stroke, point, or dissolve. Now, dissolve works kind of like airbrushing. I don't really like using it. Point will get rid of each point. We'll delete a point in the line, and stroke will get rid of the entire stroke. So play around, see which one you prefer. I prefer line. Sometimes I'll use stroke if I want to get rid of like something altogether, just really quickly. But there we go, this is our little character. I'm just going to quickly add a new layer, and it's black. I want this to be a fill layer, so I'm going to duplicate the material by hitting this button. That creates a copy, so I always call this one fill, because it's going to be fill. And we want fill, oh god, why have you done that to me? Okay, wait, I'm going to get rid of fill. I'm going to hit black, I'm going to go with the sketch. Copy sketch. I'm gonna call you Phil. Hi Phil, welcome back. What the fuck? What is this? I hate this. Okay. Phil's useless. Phil's not doing what we want it to. I need to figure that out on my own time because I hate... There we go. Thank you. You can be Phil. Jesus Christ. Sorry, sometimes it does this thing where it's like only a little bit filled in, and I'm like, I don't know how to change that yet. I'm sort of learning as I go. I'm just hoping to make your lives easier by giving you a quick tutorial that when you get into it. Just gotta add a head down little bow tie. Gonna need to make a background layer real quick, so I'm gonna name this line. And this one, background. Right, so there is a hierarchy system as well in Grease Pencil. Anything that's at the top will appear above everything else. Pretty simple, it's like how layers work. Right, so we don't want the background at the top, so I want to move that to the bottom. That's moved background to the bottom. So now if I go into draw, it will appear behind the black that we initially drew. So I need a new material, so I'm going to go, and I want the background material that I've already made. So, because I'm kind of going for this super chunky edge thing and this panty and stocking style, oh, I forgot to off-tick the lights. I've been making like a chunky background, which I can then use as mask layer when I place down colours. Right, so we got this. Let's bring the nurse back in. So she's moving across, and our character is going to appear. So if I go into animation, going to go into object mode, going to hit I for here, location rotation. I'm just going to move you to like, is 80 where we start? Yeah, let's go with like 85 for you to appear. So go to layout, I'm just going to move you over here. Hit I, location rotation. So yeah, there we go. Whee! And then she zooms in. And you know what? I might have her move more this way. Yeah. Let's delete this keyframe. Go to like 95. I'm gonna move you to like here. Hit location and scale, that's not what I want. Location rotation. Okay, and then another cool thing is you can do is you can select these both points and you can go like you have all these kind of like cool things that you can do. An easing mode, like I want an ease out on this one. So that will automatically add an ease out to it. Might put it to 100 though, actually. Just this point. And yeah, it's super simple, but that's this shot done, basically. And again, these are just keyings, but I hope that made some sense to someone out there in the world. There's loads of other stuff in here, like that you have the ability to do mask layers, you have all kinds of things really. And yeah, you can do like full animations in this software, and I think it's so good and it's free. So sorry this is such a quick one, and sorry this is me just rambling for like half an hour on how to do things. I will edit this down. For some reason, I realize now it might have been because my microphone was fucked, but it was not explaining to me why my microphone wasn't picking up when I was hitting record mode. Otherwise I just would have recorded this and not done it live, but there we go. It's useful to know. It'll be up on my Twitch channel, I'll put it up on YouTube. I'll try and somehow edit it down enough to become a reel or something, just to make it more accessible to more people. But yeah, thank you all for coming. Thank you for listening to me shout into the void about how to do Grease Pencil. I think it's a brilliant software, and I think everyone should go use it and donate to Blender. They literally revolutionizing animation and stuff with this thing, and I think that's so cool. Anyway, see you later. Love you, bye.